here it is. Okay. See where we are at. Oh, we need a hat. Gotta have a hat. Can't be doing this junk without a hat. Showing my bald ass head. Okay. Got some water. I got a whole bunch of people in chat right now. Not true. It is good time. Okay. Check 1, 2. Okay. I'm just gonna hang out, play some jams until maybe some people will get here. I'm gonna get it cranking at 3:15. What's up, Andrew? How's it going, man? Jump on Discord. Let's see if we can get this working. I posted it in the chat. Get this going. Yo, Andrew, see if you can get on Discord and, oh, there he is. I'm assuming that's why some people have, some better times with chat delay. Of course, YouTube is gonna still delay it. I could put it for low latency mode. Okay, I got 2 people. Who's in there? Jump in chat. Hop in the Discord. Jumping, hopping. We're gonna have some fun today. Oh, they left. We're gonna. Hey. I'm gonna crank things up at 3:15. Drink some coffee. I didn't make coffee today. Drinking the cheap coffee. Ben, jump into Discord. If you can. Okay, Andrew, I just got your message. Let's see. I'm gonna type one right now. Let's check the delay on that. With the video. Tell me when you see this on the video. Fix the focus on my camera. Is that better? Looks better, I think. Pretty sure. I just got that. 308. Andrew. Didn't even brush my beard. About 15 seconds. Hey, that's not bad. We could deal with that. I read online. Well, who told me? No, Ben told me it could be like 2 minutes. So I'll take 15 seconds all day. You know, this is my wife's camera, and she has a super fancy one. It's the Sony A7 Mark III, and dude, it's like I can't charge it and use it at the same time. Is that a thing with cameras? Oh, I got 3 people. Holla. Jump in the Discord. I posted it at the beginning of the chat. If you guys want to jump in Discord so we can communicate, it's about a 15-second delay, so it'll be a little bit better than chatting on YouTube. And if you don't have Discord, then I will try to keep up with the YouTube. I adjusted my camera on this side to see a little bit more. So you see my whole, this thing. My hand. Okay, Jericho said it's focused. All right. 5 minutes away. $45 seconds. You know, there's gotta be, there probably is. I wonder if Twitch is better. I just downloaded Twitch. Well, back downloaded, I guess, if you want to say. I just never used that. Never, like, got into streamers and stuff. But now that I'm streaming, it's like, give me more. But there's gotta be a better way to do, like, with the latency and stuff. I mean, obviously, lightning fast internet is a requirement, but don't slouch. Scooby-Doo. So I'm not gonna get distracted and start making music today. I'm gonna power through the edit. Thinking about doing the going halfway through the episode and editing half of it, but the thing is it messes up my whole show notes, because like I'll write down all of my timestamps on a piece of paper while I'm editing. But feed the Discord into your video. Ooh, I don't know what that means, but damn, I forgot what I was talking about. It's the music. Damn, what was it? Something good. Well, it'll come back to me. Remind me, Andrew. Oh, show notes. Yeah, okay. So when I start halfway through the episode, then I make all my edits and maybe edit out like, a couple of minutes worth of crap. And then you go back, and once you make the edits on the first half, all of those edits that you already made are adjusted, because I work in shuffle mode. So it's all snapping back to each other. I guess what I could do is, well, no, shuffle mode acts for the whole track. It's not like, now my gears are turning. I might have to figure that one out. Okay, I think we are ready. I wonder if you can put the any sort of chat feed live on the screen. Is that a thing you can do? With OBS and screen capture. Yeah, just don't move the window. Oh. So what are you into today, Andrew? Same. It was like housekeeping morning. Now we get into the grind at 3 p.m. Could be worse though, man. I wish more people I don't know. I wish more institutions and school systems would maybe it's just the South, push audio stuff and audio engineering and, well, all sorts of different kinds of engineering, to be honest with you. But it's I never would have thought that editing podcasts is a viable option for a full-time career. Well, of course, podcasts weren't around back then, I guess. But I don't know, is there really our school systems funneling kids into the same jobs? I can't imagine. I mean, I remember the big thing that when we came out of high school was the cybersecurity. To be honest with you, cybersecurity was big blowing up, and all the technical schools were offering it, and now look at it. Now it pays us. All right, let's get after it. Okay, I am going to use should I use a template or no? Should I start from scratch, Andrew? Template it is. Okay, you can't see it, but I'm going through and saving my file and whatnot. See if this loads up right, correctly. Okay, there we go. So this is what my project for HVS Hacker Valley Studio looks for every time I open it. And what we got here is let me turn this music down just a little bit. What we got here is intro, voiceover, the main theme, and that's a full mix. And this is a like drum and bass kind of version. So mute that and the beginning.
This is the Hacker Valley.
Oh my goodness. Playing on my speakers. Which is super frustrating that GoXLR and any other interface cannot communicate with each other. It's crazy. I'll play that again. Alright. For some reason, that's supposed to be gray back there, and for some reason, it's not. Behind that Hacker Valley there. Hawkeye! You can't see all of my prompts, and I'm going to try to change that for the future. Okay, so I accidentally saved this template a while ago with a bunch of files in it, and I'm just checking here over in the clip list to see if they are there, because after a while, when I make edits, it's going to bog down the memory and ask me to delete it. There we go. You guys got that? Doesn't sound like it. Let me go into settings. App specific device. Okay, so playback. Let me see here. Oh, that kind of goes hard. Harris Heller's so good. How about no? For some reason not. Oh, it's in the wrong sample rate too. Son of a biscuit. Huh. Gotta restart. And it's only happening 'cause I'm streaming. Do you believe it? Okay. Pro Tools, yes. Okay, Andrew, can you let me know when you hear playback? Is that messing with all of you? Is that messing with how they do? David, just okay, rebooting. Now we got Dropbox issues. Gotta go in here and quit Dropbox because you can't operate Pro Tools and Dropbox at the same time and expect to save the work. Nope. Man. So who's my other watcher here? Jump in the chat, say something. It's just this is an intimate thing here. You know, all of my thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers are not invited to these things. This is just me and the people that I selectively invited, which are you too. So just feel free to come chat. Probably somebody very close. Come on. Okay, now we got correct audio. Now we got to figure out what is going on. So I'm going up to routing and system to broadcast. Why isn't that on? There we go. Should hear now. Yeah, you got it. You got this. All right. So, anyways, what we got here is VO.
This is the Hacker Valley Studio podcast.
And the main theme, which is the full mix.
Security programs and technology.
And the simple beat. So we are doing 2 ads now. So I got to put 2 ads in here, edit all of the dialogue, and make a little bed for the middle of the show, which I already made on the last stream. I just had to import it and glue it up. So here we go. Shift, Control I opens up import menu. We can turn some of this music back on though. Wherever you went. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now we got that going over there. Wow, that's just unbelievable. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm just adding files into the session. Getting my assets together. Like an ad or a sound bed. Try to get everything in the clip list as soon as possible so we can see what we got and why we got it. Okay, just checking, making sure I got the right sponsors. Axonius and Uptix. Hype Cycle, that's what it is. Hype Cycle. And another Axonius one. Ciao. Okay, that's processing. Put it in the clip list, and it should be there. Okay, so I've got my 3 files right here. Ron's upside down, of course. Put him right there. And then I'm going to take these, which you can't see. Can't see that, huh? Can't see my clip list. How about we do this here? Maybe a little bit smaller. I need to see my track list. Or my inserts. Let me turn inserts. Well, I'll turn the IO off and then make this big. And then you can see my clip list. Okay, there we go. Let me get Discord up here so I can see chat. Okay. Okay, so I can see my clip list. Get rid of that. I'm gonna drag all 3 files. Can't really see that, huh? You know what? I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna there we go. It's just gotta be the way. I'm gonna make it real big so everybody can see. Okay. Take this. Like that. Okay, now when I click into stuff, you guys can see it. Now that I did all the clicking into stuff and it's all done. Okay.
This is the Hacker Valley Studio podcast.
What's
exploring
going
the
on,
human
everybody?
element
You're in the
behind
Hacker Valley
cybersecurity
studio with your
programs
hosts,
and
Ron
technology.
and Chris.
That's a mess.
Welcome back
So we got
to
all
the show.
we got all groups on, which is screwing us. I'm gonna mute the music for a minute. So I need to activate the groups again. Notice down here I'm clicking this button. This button right here. This is to activate groups on and off. And these 2 buttons, this one is for shuffle mode, that's for slip mode, and this is a diagonal scroller. Highly, highly recommend this mouse. Andrew, If you've never experienced it, it's totally worth it. It's changed my editing game. So I always have trouble finding which one to grab to move all three at first. Okay, we kind of just want to move these out of the way. See, it just doesn't grab all three. Move those out of the way so we can get magic trackpad. You know, I started on a mouse, and I think it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other, but I could see the advantages, man. You can like draw on it and do that stuff, but you know, once you get what you're used to it. It's just, if you ever desire to change it, that's when it sucks. Trying to change your habits. Yeah, hotkeys.
And technology.
Okay, so we go right into an ad. So I'm gonna put this ad right butted up against that fade.
Axonius has crossed the chasm. The first company to solve. Axonius has
so I want to
make
that beat hit before he starts talking, because it kind of eats the space.
Axonius has crossed the chasm, the first company to solve the cybersecurity asset management problem. Gartner has recognized cyber asset attack surface management, CASM, as a category in their Hype Cycle for Network Security 2021 report. Axonius gives its customers a comprehensive, always up-to-date asset inventory, helps uncover security gaps, and automates as much of the manual remediation as you want. Take a look at Axonius and give your teams time back to work on the high-value cyber initiatives they were trained to do.
Okay, so we got the first ad in, and the way we have this show structured,
they were trained to do.
I'm going to go over all of my plugins at the end. Mixing and mastering is, now that I got it down to a rhythm, it flows pretty dang good with these podcasts. It's not quite as labor intensive as doing a song, doing any musical piece, but it's super easy, especially with the right tools.
Cyber initiatives.
Okay, so we got that one in there, and now I'm going to put the intro in here. And if you are working with professionals, they will be giving you mono audio files for dialogue.
To do.
Super long.
Cyber initiatives they were trained to do. Welcome back to the Hacker Valley Studio podcast.
So why don't we do this? Let's mute this
and automate.
You see how
much of the work on the high value.
You can tell he's been practicing this and reciting it, and now he's in a booth recording his ad. So that sounds way better.
Up to date ad or watched a video on.
See the energy level
as you want.
There's nothing wrong.
How does this happen? Is there some type of inherent capacity for creativity?
Any time of day.
The web like we do. Report. Axonius gives its customers.
But he's more prepared with that, as far as, you know, he knows he's going into the studio to record a bunch of different ads probably. So he's gonna have a little bit more energy there, instead of, you know, maybe after a conversation when they've already had this conversation, he's making an intro, and you know the energy is just a little bit lower.
If you browse the web like we do, you've probably read an article or watched a video on unlocking your creativity. Well, how does this happen? Is there some type of inherent capacity for creativity? Are we limitless, or is there some sort of cap? We've been asking for the answer to this question for quite a while, and we were recently told to speak with David Chislett. David is a creativity activator, and we did exactly that this episode. Spoke all about creativity.
Activator.
We hope that through this conversation, you'll be able to take some nuggets and apply to your life. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode.
Gap's too long.
What's going on, everybody? You're in the
See,
Hacker
I
Valley
grab it
studio
right here
with your
where I was
host,
grabbing it
Ron.
before, and it won't move.
Episode.
Now it's down here. I mean, make up your mind.
Without
Let's-
further ado, let's jump into the episode.
Let's do that.
What?
Okay, that's a pretty perfect gap right there. So I'm gonna unmute that.
Without further ado, let's jump
Work
into
on my
the
fade
episode.
here. It's just a little bit different every time. So
What's going on, everybody? You're in the Hacker
I like
Valley
it
studio.
to kind of
What's going on, everybody?
fade
You're
away
in the
into the
Hacker Valley
distance.
studio with your hosts, Ron and Chris.
Yes, sir.
Welcome
All right.
back
And
to the show.
at that point, I'm
Glad
going
to be
to fade
back,
back in.
again. In the studio today with us, we have David Chislett. David is a creativity
Now let's get
activator,
into
and
it.
he helps people and teams discover and understand
So
how
I've got all of these activated over here, and if you've got a monster machine that can handle that, and you are like running somewhat, good plugins, then by all means, then do it. But like my MacBook Pro, 2017 MacBook Pro, it was like it couldn't handle having my plugins active and processing the audio through the plugin. It would always record funky, it would play back funky. It was just not fun. So with that being said, even when you deactivate it, there's still some signal chain being interrupted there. So just don't worry about mixing until the end, maybe, if you got computer issues.
Hey, good evening, gents. Nice to be here.
Sometimes I can tweak it and spend the whole episode really tweaking this while I'm going for a little initial mix. Let my ears rest and then go back and mix and master it.
Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you, David. Creativity is one of
Okay, so we
our
got
favorite subjects to
some
talk about. And if we could just
pretty good
Pretty
EQ
much,
stuff going on.
I call myself a creativity activator, and by that I mean I help individuals get back in touch with what I believe to be our inherent capacity for creativity. Most people, it's been pretty well socialized out of us. So using
Shelf in the
keynote speeches,
top end of this.
workshops, and one-to-one coaching
Because I don't want to
sessions,
listen to.
I use a whole
This is
mixed
all going to
bag of
change
tricks and
probably,
tools
but
and
I just don't want to
in the
listen
studio
to
today with us, we have
really sharp
David
sounds. It hurts
Chislett.
my ears.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you, David. Creativity is one of our favorite subjects to talk about. And if we could just be 1% more creative from this discussion, it will be all worth it. But for the folks that don't know who you are just yet, we'd love to hear a little bit about your background.
This
and
is
what you're doing
exclusive
today.
too. I mean, Chris and Ron are both letting me do this, and this is before the episode's published. So I mean, welcome to like the White Collar Club. Like, it's pretty exclusive up in here.
All right, sure. So, yeah, in your intro, Ron, thanks very much. I call myself a creativity activator, and by that I mean I help individuals get back in touch with what I believe to be our inherent capacity for creativity.
Got
Creativity.
some ums.
Most
see how
people, it's
fat
been
these
pretty
ums
well
are.
socialized out of us.
Finding some fat ums.
Most people, it's been pretty well socialized
All
out
right.
of us. So, most people, it's been pretty well
We've
socialized.
got a already.
So, yeah,
A couple
in
of
your
lip
intro, Ron, thanks
smacks.
very much.
A chonder.
That don't know who you are just yet, we'd love to hear a
I
little
know
bit
lip
about your
smack.
background and
So, yeah, in your intro,
Remember,
Ron, thanks very much.
None of this has
I call
anything
myself
to do with the
creativity
character
activator,
and
by
or
that I mean
anything about the people that I'm editing. This is a hunk of meat in my eyes, and the final meal is what matters. Oh, that was good. That was pretty good. Yep, that was good. That was good. Okay, I'm done.
help individuals get back in touch with what I believe to be our inherent capacity for creativity. Most people, it's been pretty well socialized out of us. So using keynote speeches,
let's keep
workshops,
that in there.
and one-to-one coaching
Yeah, there.
sessions, I use a whole and one-to-one coaching sessions.
We got an S at the
I
end there,
use
so
a
I'm gonna take off that.
mixed bag
S is a
with
good sound. You can just fade it away. We'll let minus the squeaks of my
shops,
chair.
one-to-one coaching session.
So because we
keynote
kept a little bit,
speeches, workshops, and one-to-one
See?
coaching sessions. I
just
use
that little baby.
one-to-one coaching sessions.
See,
I use a whole
little baby.
workshops, one-to-one coaching sessions. I use a whole mixed bag of tricks and tools and tips and theories and bits of research to help people break through the barriers that are holding them back from embracing what they used to have in bag loads when they were little kids, and get more creative and learn how to actually just get that magic sauce on tap.
So
That's a bit of a long pause. If we zoom it in here, see this? That's a schmack.
let's go ahead and break that. Let's go ahead and break
Schmack.
that down a bit. I think that we all struggle.
Okay.
Sauce on tap.
So,
let's
let's
go
take
ahead and
that
break
out.
that down a bit. Let's go ahead and break
at the end
that
of this
down a
edit,
bit. I think that we all struggle
maybe I'll take some
in
of
one
this
way or another
dead
with
space out.
creativity. Whether you're
Again, we don't want to
a
gate.
technician, an artist, a musician,
gate.
there's always something that changes over time.
It's not
We're
worth
talking
it.
About almost having more
Of course, now I'm
creativity.
talking, I'm not paying attention.
So let's go ahead and break that down a bit. I think that we all struggle in one way or another with creativity. Whether you're a technician, an artist, a musician, there's always something that changes over time. You're talking about almost having more creativity when you were a kid. Walk us through a bit of your origin story with learning about this encompassing domain called creativity.
Yeah, I grew up in the creative industries. I've been writing poetry since I was 10. I played in rock and roll bands through my university years, and later
With learning about this encompassing domain called
I
creativity.
think I'm gonna write down timestamps.
yeah,
See if I can pull it off.
I grew up in the creative industries. I've been writing poetry since I was 10. I played in rock and roll bands through my university years, and later I've published books.
No, I can't find
I've
my
worked
pen.
as a marketer and publicist, working with artists and music industry clients. And I've been blogging and podcasting, making documentary films and videos. Well, basically just
Okay,
doing
I'm
one
hearing all sorts of
creative thing or other
nonsense.
my entire life. And
About this encompassing domain called creativity.
yeah, I grew up in the creative industries. I've been writing poetry since I was 10. Yeah, I grew up in the creative industries. I grew up in the
Okay,
creative
took a
industries.
you know.
I've been writing poetry since I was 10. I've played
Ah,
in rock and roll bands through
well,
my
squeaked
university
by.
years, and later I've published books. I worked as a marketer,
There, right
and
there.
publicist, working with artists. Played in rock and roll bands through my university years, and later I've published books. Through my university years, and later
Okay.
I've published
An
books.
out of there.
I worked as a marketer and publicist, working with artists and music industry clients. And I've been
It
blogging.
was a
and
fatty.
documentary
Look
film.
at that fatty, Andrew. Taking out fat arms.
And I've been blogging and podcasting, making documentary films and videos. Well, basically just doing one creative thing or other my entire life. And what I realized was that most people had a really weird idea about what creativity is. And in conversations with me, they'd always go like, wow,
This
you're
is a pretty big gap here.
what I realized was that weird idea about what creativity is. And in conversations with me, they'd always go like, wow, you're so creative. I'm totally not creative. I'm looking at them going, but hang on a second.
Everybody's creative.
you're a marketing strategist or
Got
you're
double
a
speak.
lawyer. You kind of for a living. Of course you're
First two real streams here, and we got professional speakers. I mean, I should stream
You're a
a
marketing strategist
particularly
or
bad episode and see how long we can make it. We can make it days. Days.
Well, you're a lawyer. You know, you kind of solve problems for a living. Of course, you're creative. I'm like, yeah, but I can't paint, I can't draw. I'm like, hang on a second. You know, what's going on here is a confusion between a specific physical skill set and the ability to come up with new answers or different answers to the old questions. And I think that's really what
Got
inspired me.
doublespeak
I suddenly
here.
realized that actually, and I think that's really what inspired me. I suddenly realized that actually, you know, it's
Yeah,
not
I'm
that
not
people
gonna
aren't
do
creative.
timestamps too
It's
much.
that they don't understand what it is that they've got, and to a large extent, it's so everyday. We're just always solving problems that people completely underestimate what they're doing, and just therefore don't really realize how many more areas they could be using it in. And that's what I'm really interested in, is helping people to, you know, to tap into that, because it's really extraordinarily self-empowering. People to, you know, to tap into that, because it's really extraordinarily
'Cause
self-empowering.
we got
to be able
two
to just come up
twice.
with
We got two
answers and
twos.
new solutions.
So
People
I
to,
want-
you know, to tap into
So this was like to tap,
tap
to
into
tap, and we got this one too.
people to
If we got rid of this one, it would be to tap, or it could be to tap. So I vote for
helping people
to tap.
you know, to tap into that, helping people to
If we take out that one, then the energy level kind of matches, but it might be a little jump there.
is helping people tap into that,
Whoa,
because helping people tap into that,
Mr. T.
because it's really extraordinarily helping people to tap into that,
There it is.
because it's really
Oh, now we got a nice
extraordinarily
little.
self-empowering to be able to just come up with answers and new solutions
Okay, we got a little
whenever you
gap
want.
already.
You mentioned
whenever you want.
having it in bag loads when you're a kid, and I couldn't agree with you more on that in that regard. What is it about our lives that gets us down these paths of
Okay, if you see this down here, this is a muted, prearranged clip that I've put together for the ad that's going to be in the middle. So that's my music bed for the ad. And I will pull in that ad when I get to a good spot. So we got the main theme music and, well, that's the outro. Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't save that in my template yet. So what I'm going to do is basically just take this and hold Alt or Command in slip mode and copy it. So I don't need the outro, but I do need this, and this is going to be my outro. So that's put together with the VO for the outro. So I'll leave that there. That's not going to be lined up, but we'll fix it later. And we'll put this one somewhere around halfway. Okay. Now let's go back here.
Films and videos come up with answers and
Start
new
back with Chris.
solutions.
So obviously the number one priority is to make sure your hosts and your client are crystal clear as far as what they're saying, what they're implying, what they mean. If something doesn't sound right, you want to basically you're as an editor, you're the firewall.
Whenever you want.
Sonic
You mentioned
firewall.
having it in bag loads when you're a kid, and I couldn't agree with you more on that in that regard. What is it about our lives that gets us down these paths of being less creative over time? Is it something that has to do with our school system? Is it just the mundane task of
Got double
is it
speak.
just the mundane task of being an adult? What is it? Just the mundane task?
So Swift, if you look up in nope, over that way in the corner, you can see shuffle, slip, change when I hit these buttons here. Shuffle, slip, shuffle, slip. So that way, when I go into slip, I can go right in and turn the group off, take this, and I can delete anything I want without affecting it. Turn shuffle back on, turn the groups back on. Boom. Super easy.
over time?
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen any of the videos by Ken Robinson,
Yes.
the way we Ken Robinson,
Yes.
Proper noun messed up here.
Ken Robinson,
Yes.
the way we're
Take
educated,
those out.
Ken Robinson.
Yes.
The way we're educated has got a lot to do with it. Standardized testing, black
Take
and
this
white.
you know
yes,
out.
there's only a right way and loads of wrong ways. We're
Oh,
schooled.
there's
from
a
quite early on
fatty. Hold
thinking-
up now. Look at this fatty. You know, I might get a
from quite
tattoo and
early on to reduce our thinking into the safe zone.
Look at this that's a good one. A
We're
fat dad
schooled
man.
from quite early on to reduce our thinking into the safe zone
Look
to
at that.
give
That's a
expected
beautiful
answers.
Man, just admire it. Okay, thank you for your job.
We are schooled from quite early on to reduce our thinking into the safe zone to give the into the safe zone to give
Trying
the
to-
expected
Trying to cut out
answer
that
into the safe zone to
There it
give
is.
the expected
Okay.
answer into the safe zone to give the expected answers and to basically keep our little noses clean and follow the rules, but before we end up at school, you say
Trying to
a
take
new
this, you
interesting
know.
look at but before we end up at school, you say a new interesting word to a kid and they kind of look at you and then they give it a go. They try and say it and they're probably going to mess it up, but they don't care. They just go for it. They have no shame around the attempt. There is no sense of missing a benchmark. It's just like, hey, that's something new. I'm going to give it a go.
That's a good point.
And we basically just get that beaten out of us psychologically through our education process. It's actually quite scandalous when psychologically through our education process.
That's kind of a hard edit there. I don't necessarily like doing that. Psychologically. So what?
Psychologically.
It's kind of jarring, and I'm gonna overanalyze. Usually, I could probably leave that.
Psychologically through our education process. Psychologically through our education.
So let's go in here and make this
it's
fade
actually quite
longer.
scandalous when you consider that everything that we have psychologically through our education process. It's actually quite scandalous when you consider that psychologically through our education process. It's actually quite scandalous when you consider psychologically through
That's not bad.
psychologically
That's better.
through our education
A little bit better.
process. It's actually quite scandalous when you can. It's actually quite scandalous when you consider that everything. It's actually quite scandalous when you consider that everything that we
this
have,
extra when
and this
you-
all the technology that fuels the lifestyle that we have in the middle class West is.
Uh-oh. Did something there. What happened? Let us do... Nope, let's not do that. Let's just hit backspace until it's all gone. Something happened here. Oh, I deleted Ron's, so let me go ahead. That's what it is. Redo all that. There.
Work in technology. They might work in
Why
cybersecurity
did Ron's
or
get deleted?
some field that's very closely
Oh,
related.
bro, I'm just digging a hole here. Just digging a hole, turning groups and slip on.
Back to that base of my childhood creativity. What are some of the things or stories that you
when you consider that everything that we have in this world, all the technology that fuels the lifestyle that we have in the middle class West,
So what's going on
is
here?
the product of creative mind.
So what I got going on is I probably was in a different mode, like a shuffle or slip.
They work in technology. They might do technology. How can I, as a technologist and also as a bit of a content creator for a kid, walk us through a bit of
Okay,
your
so what's
origin
going
story
on is
with learning
I
about
got
this?
the same file down here.
A lot of our
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just stretch it all the way back. Just like that. Boom. Snapped everything back, because from that point forward, All my edits are good.
out of us psychologically through our education process.
So what
it's
I do
actually
need to
quite
do is take
scandalous
this right
when you-
here.
when you
I'm going to turn
consider that-
shuffle mode back on. So I accidentally did something here and I'm just adjusting. So I turned shuffle mode back on, still have my groups off. And what I want to do is delete this and it's right where we need it to be again. That means that's going to affect this whole track.
And those two things are just not the same thing.
So I think that I'm ready
Turning
for it
group
to be
and shuffle
beat
mode back on.
into me. You are a creativity activator, and a lot of our audience, they work in technology. They might work in cybersecurity or some field that's very closely related to technology. How can I, as a technologist and also as
There
a
we
bit
go.
of a content creator, really get back to that base of my childhood creativity? What are the things or stories that you can share that could help people?
Right. The first thing you got to do is let go of judgment.
Preach
And
on,
what that means
brother.
in most contexts is your own judgment about your own ideas. You got to stop telling yourself that that's not a good idea, that that's stupid, or that's not good enough, or who am I to be doing that? You've just got to let it go, and you've got to push through with those ideas.
Let's take that
Ideas are
gap
not
out. That looks like
typically
an
You know,
You
ideas
know,
are not
it's a you know. I should
typically
have. I
born
should have
fully
known.
formed
I
as
should have
bits of
known. You know.
darkness. Quite obvious. Ideas are not typically born fully formed as shining diamonds in the darkness. Quite often, they're a slightly sludgy turd-like thing that needs to be polished. And you know, when you judge everything,
See if we can peak
straight
5
away, you know,
viewers today.
when you judge everything, and you know,
So
when
okay,
you-
here's a good point to be made. Do I
and you know,
thinking out loud here? Do I?
and
He says and while Chris is laughing. I think that that's appropriate because
polished.
what we're doing is we're just putting a little fluff underneath
and you know, when-
underneath
when
the context and basically it's exciting to me. It's taking this content and kind of accentuating it just a little bit because it's drawing it out just a little bit. You know what I mean?
and you know, when you judge,
No, but
you know,
when they get
judge-
back into talking, that's when they usually screw up because they're loose. You know what I mean? And they're trying to figure out a way back to reality,
you know,
if you will.
when you judge everything straight away, you know, when you judge everything straight away, you potential straight. When you judge everything straight away, you kill
There we go,
all
boom.
potential straight up dead. But if you don't, and you allow that idea to float around, and you revisit it, and you think about it a bit more, it stands a chance of growing into something.
Yo, this is the Mandalorian theme. I hope this is not. Oh, it's not. Uh-oh, not good. I might get booted off YouTube. This is my favorite Harris Heller album, I think. Just did that one. Okay, that's fine.
Growing into something
Looks like I'm
more,
Or.
more.
more.
It stands a
Okay.
chance of growing into something, because creativity is an iterative process. You know, nothing is completely new or 100% original. It all comes from somewhere, and you know, from the graveyard of the ideas that never quite turned into anything productive, and you know, from the graveyard of the ideas that never turned into anything, and from the graveyard of the ideas that never quite turned into
Basically a
anything
blind edit.
productive, will come
It's
in the
mischievous.
future other more productive
More.
things. The
What's
trick
that
is not to just
sound?
kill them, and reject
Mm.
them, and throw them away by judging them
Bye.
the second after they're born. I think that's always the most important step, number one. And what that also means is you need to stay the hell away from judgmental people. People in meetings who go, yes, but.
Yes,
But is the
but.
killer. But is the
Right.
idea slayer. Yeah, and if you're doing it to
Idea
yourself,
slayer.
stop it. Start saying and.
Mhm.
Not yes, but. Yes, and. That's a great idea. And if we added this or we tweak that or we change that, then you're building, then you're growing, engaging in a positive process. And that's motivating and stimulating, and typically it allows more ideas to flow. Yes, but it's just a smack on the chops. It's a slap on the wrist. It's get back in your corner. How dare you? Positive process.
Go back. I was
And that's
doing a little
motivating and
chatting.
stimulating, and typically it allows more ideas to flow. Yes, but it's just a smack on the chops. It's a slap on the wrist. It's get back in your corner. How dare you come up with these wacky ideas?
I like it.
I'm glad you mentioned Yes Dan, because that's the mantra of improv comedy,
Yeah,
improv
exactly.
acting, and I think that's such an incredible way to collaborate with other people. One thing that Ron and I got really lucky in is to be able to have this podcast and flex those creative muscles. We didn't realize how atrophied those muscles were until we saw the difference between where we were in the beginning and where we are today. And now today we're coming up with all kinds of interesting ideas at the macro level and even the micro level, all the way down to the questions we ask our guests on our podcast. But what about the folks that haven't had that practice? Is there something
Take this little smack out.
haven't had that
Oh, my Bubba wants to come in. Come on, Moose. Come on in, man.
practice? Is there something that they can do every day to flex those creativity muscles?
Well, they've got to practice. I mean, what you said there is absolutely key. You've got to sharpen those skills. Earlier on I said there's a distinction between the creative process itself.
Over.
Well, they've got to practice. I mean, what you said there is absolutely key. You've got to sharpen those skills. Earlier on I said there's a distinction between the creative process itself and the skills which you use to express that creativity. So by doing a lot of podcasts, by interviewing a lot of people, you're fine-tuning those skills, and you're also learning to trust your own process. So you can step into it, use your tools, and not have to be overly rationally busy with what's going on, so that you stand a better chance of getting into what Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi referred to as flow. And if you don't enhance your skills, and whatever skill it might be, right? It doesn't have to be anything as sort of art related as writing or hosting a radio show. It can be right down to just solving everyday problems in a business analysis situation.
All right, we got some
solving everyday problems in a business analysis situation or coding. But if you don't have the chops, you're going to struggle to come up with interest. But if you don't,
okay, so we had a couple of things.
Analysis, solving everyday problems in a business analysis.
A couple of double speak.
Everyday problems in a business analysis situation, or everyday problems in a business analysis situation, or analysis situation, problems in a business analysis situation, or coding. But if you don't have the chops, problems in a business analysis situation.
No, we had to keep a little tail on that.
If you don't have the chops,
So make
you're
this
going to
a
struggle to come
little
up with
bigger than
interesting and different
usual.
business analysis situation.
Oh, it's butter.
Problems
It's
in a business
butter.
analysis situation. Or
Hey,
coding.
if whoever's on here, I think I got 2 viewers. If you guys could share it and see if anybody else wants to jump on, just to hang out. And of the 2 people, if you have not been here yet, and I think one of them is Andrew, definitely make yourself known in the chat, YouTube or Discord, or you can text me at my number, which is never going to be said on here. That's crazy. But yeah, what I'm doing is I'm basically editing a podcast, and how that's going is right now I'm going through and editing dialogue. No mixing, mastering yet. We've assembled the intro, and here we go.
Analysis situation.
We just
or
made a buttery little
business
edit.
analysis
I mean,
situation,
let me mute
or-
the music.
Or codes in a business analysis situation, everyday problems in a business analysis situation, or coding, but problems in a business analysis situation, or in a business analysis situation.
Let's take this
or coding.
fade,
But if you don't have the chops,
bring it out a little
you're
bit.
going to struggle to come up with interesting and different problems in a business analysis situation
Take
or
this.
coding. But day problems in a business analysis situation or coding. But, if you don't have the chops, you have problems in a business analysis
Okay,
situation
like it.
or coding. But, if you don't have the chops, you're going to struggle to come up with interesting and different answers. If you don't have the chops, you're going to struggle to come up with interesting and different answers. Because if you don't have the chops, rules, because you basically don't really know what the rules are. Because if you don't have the chops, you don't know how to break the rules, because you basically don't really know what the rules are. So, discipline, repetition, routine, practice,
That is a fatty.
seriously boring stuff.
Look at how fat that one is.
So, discipline,
My
repetition, routine,
goodness.
all that like boring stuff that everyone thinks is the killer of creativity is actually what sets the creative process free.
That is funny that you say that, because Chris and I just spoke to our leadership coach.
Free.
That is funny that you say that, because
That might
Chris
be
and
an
I
right
just
there.
spoke to our leadership coach earlier today, and they were
That's a
describing some of these challenges that
Mm.
certain
Called it.
personalities on
Nailed
the
it.
Myers-Briggs
Right
would
there.
face
Bam.
when it comes to creativity. That certain personality traits on the Myers-Briggs would face when it
Take
comes to
this
creativity. And
guy's mouth noises out.
typically, especially
Fades
for
on
Chris,
everything, as always.
structure could hinder creativity. This
There's
is at
more
least what we
issues right
synthesized
here.
from working with
Fade.
this coach.
Fade.
How can you look at structure
Okay,
in a more
that one's not
positive
good.
light for those that are more free-flowing, that
Okay,
want
let's
to
go
be
back
creative, but also
to our
that
last edit.
certain personality traits on the Myers-Briggs would face when it comes to creativity? And typically, especially for Chris, structure could hinder. Hinder
Okay,
creativity.
turn shuffle
This is
mode
at
back
least
on.
what
Keep
we
my groups
synthesized
on.
from work code. Especially for Chris, structure could hinder
I need
creativity.
I
This
need
is
that
at least
tail
what we
to catch that
synthesized.
E.
Especially for
There it
Chris,
is.
structure could hinder creativity. This is at least what we synthesized from working with this coach. How can you look at structure in a more positive light for those that are more free-flowing, that want to be creative, but also bring in the structure?
There's a lot going on with
Structure.
Well,
Positive light for those that are more free-flowing,
Hmm.
that want to look at structure in a more
There's an
positive
that
light
slips through, I think.
from working with this coach could hinder creativity. This is at least what we synthesized from, especially for Chris, structure could hinder creativity. This is at least what we synthesized from
Okay.
working with this coach. How can you
Alright.
look at
Guys,
structure in a more positive
definitely
light for
stay
those that
active in the
are
chat.
more free-flowing, that want to be creative? How can you
Happy
look at
to
structure in a
interact
more
here.
positive light for those that are more free-flowing, that want to be creative, but also bring in the structure?
well,
Okay, that's a mouth noise right there.
look, there's a lot going on when you start talking about structure.
I kind of want to take that
Point
out.
number, well, look, there's a lot going on when you start talking about
There we
structure.
go. I like that. Let's take out some
Point
of this
number
gap. It's a
one is,
bit too big.
If
Start the music up.
If you're going to look at structure as
we
being
can
a
have some good
restriction on
jams.
yourself, sure enough, that's what it's going to be. So you need to switch off your judgment about the whole idea of what structure means. Waking up in the morning and going to bed at night is a structure. It doesn't have to be this millstone around your neck where you're monitoring every minute and every second.
Right.
Think more fuzzy goals than deadly specific high detail goals when you're talking about structure. This millstone around your neck where you're monitoring every minute and every second.
Right.
Think more fuzzy goals than deadly specific high detail goals when you're talking about structure. Structure's committing. It's the same.
Yeah, they got SM7Bs. I think they both have SM7Bs. But as far as like a signal chain, I don't know if they have a compressor or anything. I don't think so. Because, I mean, this microphone is just the bees. But I know they probably have a mute button because I feel like they mute. Of course, let's see. We can figure it out. They might not mute, dude. I don't think so. 'Cause we got flow. We got some waves. But yeah, I'll have to ask them. That's a good question. I think they just record with their mic. I don't know what interface they use.
Look, there's a lot going
Good
on
question.
when you start talking about structure. Point number one is that, you know, if you're gonna look at structure as
Okay,
being
we
a
can
restriction
take all
on
that out.
yourself, sure enough, one is that if you're gonna look at structure as being a restriction on yourself,
Kind of got
sure
a little
enough,
breath in
that's what
there,
it's gonna
so
be.
I want to take that breath and really keep that in there.
One is that if you're gonna look at structure as being a restriction on yourself, sure enough, that's what it's gonna be. So you need to switch off your judgment about the whole idea of what structure means.
Yeah, I think they have
know,
they have quite a bit of soundproofing too in their rooms, I believe. Chris especially, I think he just got new panels a couple weeks ago. Makes a
Waking up
difference,
in the morning
man.
and going to bed at night is a structure. It doesn't have to
Oh,
be this
the-
millstone around
the
your
little-
neck where you're monitoring every minute.
Little shouty right
Right.
there.
It doesn't have to be this millstone around your neck where you're monitoring every minute and every second.
Right.
You know, think more fuzzy goals than deadly specific, high detail goals when you're talking about structure. Structure's committing. It's the same. I've got a process. It's trusting it. It's identifying when in your day, no matter when that time is, you are in a best position to get into flow, to utilize those skills. So if you're a night owl and that's 10 to 12 p.m., so be it. That's
I've
your
never heard of
structure.
I've never heard of a Heal PR40 or Heil. Effective or counterfeit. Let's look it up. Might as well. You can rabbit hole. Why not? I'm up here. Let's look it up. It's got to be defective. I mean, 79 people say that it's baller. Something. You got double audio for me? Oh. It might have been because I pulled up Chrome. I don't know. All right. Keep going. Oh. If this is an you all owe me a share. I don't know. Oh, got him. I don't even know where I was. I was just in random. Just random.
It doesn't have to be this
Boom.
millstone around your neck
Fatties.
where you're monitoring every minute and every second.
Right.
You know, think more fuzzy.
1K is
goals
it.
than
1K is always it.
really specific high.
You know, everybody always, excuse me, everybody always about 1K. But 2, like 1,200, 1,300, like that area, man, I hate that. I don't know about 1K. I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of nuance with that, you know, that frequency, but 1.2 is just a nuisance. There we go. You have to wiggle these knobs on the Go XLR to catch up with the digital interface on the app.
You know, think more fuzzy goals than deadly specific.
We got
high
3
detail
thens.
goals
I'm going
when
to take
you're
2 of
talking
them
about
out.
Structure's committing.
So
It's
as I'm highlighting
the
this,
same. I've
I'm
got a
listening.
process. It's
So I
trusting
can-
it. It's identifying when in your day, no matter when that time is, you are in a best position to flow.
So
than
make-
deadly specific.
Make
high
sure that's
detail goals
edit
when you're
is good.
talking about
And I'm
structure.
going to hop over here.
When in your day, no matter when that time is, you are in a best position to get into flow, to utilize those skills. So if you're a night owl and that's 10 to 12 p.m., so be it. That's your structure. I think too often when people start talking about
Andrew, you are
structure,
not the only one, dude.
we start
That's
talking about what
like
it's gotta be
the
between 8 a.m.
it's
and
like
10
the
a.m.,
frequency
it's gotta
that
be like this.
everybody
It doesn't have to be
it's
like
crazy.
anything, except that what structure
It's like an
gives
actual
you
thing.
is the space and the time in which to hone your skills, in which to practice, in which to experiment, to fail, to try stuff out, to learn things, and to join the dots in interesting ways.
Oh, there it
So,
is.
Step number one, you know, I'm an old punk rocker. step number one, because I'm an old smelly punk rocker. I was as anti-establishment as they come.
Oh, I
I've
like
become
that.
Very structure and routine driven. Because
Oh man, I wish I
as
could.
anti-establishment
Here's what I'm gonna do.
as anti-establishment as they come.
Okay, I'm gonna do this here.
As anti
Let me mute this.
as they come, and I was as anti-establishment as they come. Punk rocker. I was as smelly punk rocker. I was. I'm an old smelly punk rocker. I was as anti-establishment as they come, and I've become very structure and routine driven because I've realized how much freedom.
Okay, I'm gonna
it gives me.
bounce this out real quick because that's baller. I'm as anti. Well, I'll just put anti. Let me drag this over. I'm gonna add a MP3 prompt for location. Let's just put this in my own personal. Oh, not Dropbox. Let's go to HDD. Sam. Sound effects. My own personal library. Oh, not that. Oh, not that.
I've created these. I'm an old smelly punk rocker. I was as anti-establishment as they come, and I've become very structure and routine driven.
That's because I had that button on there.
I'm an old.
So now it's gonna loop.
I'm an old.
So now I'm gonna do that again. Bounce, anti-establishment, and MP3 prompt for location. It's probably gonna remember it. Use current folder, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. Now we have a cool thing to sample in a song that we can make if I'm allowed.
I'm an old smelly punk rocker. I was as anti-establishment as they come, and I've become
Turn the
very
solo
structured
off.
and routine driven because I've realized how much structure and routine driven because I've realized freedom it gives me.
Okay,
Because
I'm gonna
being
undo that.
driven because
Take
I've
it
realized
right
how
to
much it
there.
gives me. Because being driven because I've realized how much freedom it gives me. Because I've created these spaces where I can do whatever the hell I want. And I can't always do whatever the hell I want when I don't have space.
Okay.
So that's what structure does for me.
That's a great way to put it. Build
All right,
the
let's put some
structure
space
to
back
give you
in there.
the
Take
freedom
out
that you
this.
really need to be. I'd love to hear a story from
Should
you.
we get?
That's a great
That's what structure does for me.
way to put it.
Oh,
Build the structure to give you the freedom that you really need to be creative. I'd love to hear a story from you, or maybe even someone that you know that has gone through this creative process. What is that hero's journey of creating something that is a masterpiece? Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a painting, maybe it's a TED Talk, maybe it's a podcast. What is one of those stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning?
got some
That
double
hero's
speak.
journey from the beginning, and that hero's journey from the beginning and the
Double
inception,
talk,
all the
double
way.
speak.
That hero's journey
Saying
from the
shit twice.
beginning and the inception really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning and the inception all the way through the delivery.
Whew. Well, I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey, and it's pretty much the
Okay,
same for
let's take
absolutely
out
everybody.
all that.
I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey, and it's pretty much the same for absolutely everybody. So, I mean, I can counterpoint what I experience as a poet with my
Dude,
creative
with
writing,
mics, it's like
with what a friend of mine.
if you're still there with mics, dude, it's so sickeningly expensive, and you get what you pay for. Straight up, that's the game. You spend a lot of money, you get a good mic. My tube mic, I think that was like almost $500, and this blows it out of the water. This was $400. This 7B or SM7B or whatever blows it out of the water.
So, I mean, I can counterpoint what I experience as a poet with my creative writing, with what a friend of mine who is
Here we get some double speak.
with my creative writing, with what a friend of mine, realist artist, told me. Poet with my creative writing, with what a friend of mine who is a surrealist artist told me about his process. And so I'll start with him. His name's Peter van Straten. and he lives in Cape Town in South Africa, and he does these hyper-realistic, deeply disturbing, surrealistic canvases. It's a real juxtaposition of the whole sort of Dali-esque dream world feeling with very high detailed, realistic, almost photographic, fine brushwork. But what he does is he goes to this iteration of photographing,
Boom.
making study of
So what I did there is
painting onto the
down left real quick, snaps you to wherever you are.
photographing, making studies, painting onto the canvas, and then scraping most of it back off again. then
Okay,
painting
I'm
something
going
else
to
over,
find a
scraping
spot
it more.
to pause and insert this ad into the middle. So we're at like 15 minutes. I usually go 30. Yep, right on the money. Around 30 minutes. So right after this one, that's 1850. You know what? That's probably the best if we put it right here. And
From the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery.
I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey. And
I think that this is a okay spot. We just need to make sure every time that the content is okay with a hard break like that for an ad.
The inception, all the way through the delivery.
I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey.
But since he's saying it is the hero's journey, he's basically summing up exactly what we just talked about.
The inception, all the way through the delivery.
I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey.
So we're gonna
and
take
it's
this,
pretty much the same.
and
for absolutely
unfortunately we already
everybody.
made cuts
So,
past
I
it,
mean,
so we gotta
I can
grab it
point
all.
What I experience.
See which one does it. Oh, that ain't good. Let's see this one. Nope. This one. Nope. See, it's a pain in the butt. Okay, so that's why we got to remove this. Sometimes when you press backspace, it just removes the fade like that. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. I don't get it. Not fair.
I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey.
Okay.
And it's pretty much.
Delivery.
I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey. And
Oh, I
it's-
just
and
did it
it's pretty
again,
much
out
the
of
same for
pure-
absolutely everybody.
Out of
So,
straight up
I
habit.
mean, I
Better yes than no. Okay, so we're gonna grab all this. Scoochy scoochy. Not that scoochy. Grab all this. Grab all this and scoochy scoochy. You see what I'm saying? It's not me. It's not me. And we need to grab this here piece of music. Wow, we definitely brought it out there, didn't we? Whoa. I got these purple lines up at the top here. The top, if you see, oh, I gotta undo that anyways. So up the top, if you see those little purple markers, it's gonna show you where the file starts and ends. Try to put it right before that. If we zoom in, we should be right on the money. So we're gonna unmute those clips.
Cass, what is one of those stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery?
Oh wait, what am I doing? Let me do the one I made the other time. Duh. Go to, oh, left their assets folder out. So let's see here. Music, that's what it is. Basic drum, main theme song, piano strings, that's fake. Okay, can't find it there. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Hacker Valley Studio. Let's go to the last one we did, into bounced files. We didn't put it there. Not music bed for add to. There we go. Tsar's Curiosity. So we're gonna want to convert that done into use current folder, clip list, bam. Let's make a whole nother track for this. So I just gotta put this in the daggum thing. I gotta put this in the template But again, it's going to change with the rebrand. So it's kind of no point. So I'm going to take this right yonder.
From the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery. That really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery. Is one of those stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery.
Okay, let's take that one and get the... Which one did we do? We already did the hype cycle. So what I'm going to do is take the other ad. Which is not in here. It'll be in there though. No, it won't. Okay, so, oh my goodness. Assets, Upticks ad, Converge. Okay, now we got, put this with our ad.
All the way through the delivery.
The complexity of cloud infrastructure means every organization.
That hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery.
Okay. My client, Chris, that guy that was just talking,
Inception, all the way through the delivery.
gave me some feedback on my last episode and said, hey, leave a little bit more of a break. So that's what I'm going to do.
Delivery.
Right here. So he wants a little bit more of a break right there.
The complexity of cloud infrastructure.
So what I'm doing here is kind of not traditionally the way. Okay, so I can make an automation line and take this volume to, let's see. I can take this and make this volume go down, right? But what I did, well, let's do it right here. I can take this, zoom in. I can take this and make an automation line and take this line up and down wherever I need it to go, right? But what I would like to do is just put a crossfade for volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it where this starts. And this is the most efficient way to do this that I've found. And we're going to take this down to like a bed level, and then we're just going to fade them. Crossfade. Bam.
The complexity of cloud infrastructure means every
It
organization
always
security
sounds more
challenges-
buttery than just
The complexity of cloud infrastructure means every organization's security challenges are unique. Whether your challenge is threat hunting, policy management, cloud workload protection, or the complexity of cloud infrastructure means
probably afford a little bit
the
more on that.
complexity of cloud
Problem is it's so hot.
the complexity
Because I
of
already
cloud
kinda did a quick
infrastructure
master on
means
it.
Every organization
gonna get mastered again.
Challenges
So I'm gonna
are
give a-
unique.
I want to give plenty of headroom for that master at the end of this.
Through the delivery.
Take this and
Really highlights that hero's journey. It's a podcast. What is one of those stories? Maybe it's a podcast. What is one of those stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery? Stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery. It's a TED Talk. Maybe it's a podcast. What is one of those? What
I'm thinking about taking this question, putting it on the tail end. So it's a little bit more in
is one of those
place.
stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through.
Uh-oh, am I crashing?
It's a podcast. What is maybe it's a podcast? What
Save.
is one of those stories? It's a podcast. What is one of those stories that really
it right
highlights that
here.
hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the
Take
delivery?
this and let's put this on the over there.
It's a TED Talk. Maybe it's a podcast. Painting Maybe it's a TED Talk. Maybe it's a podcast.
Okay, put a fade on there. We don't leave anything unfaded because anything going across 0 is going to make a pop.
TED Talk. Maybe it's a podcast.
Infrastructure means the complexity of cloud infrastructure means
I should
every
really just
organization's
take this
security
and put it up
challenges
here.
are unique.
Because it's
Whether your
using his
challenge-
EQ.
The complexity of cloud infrastructure
But the problem with that is, again, he's recording that. It's different energy, different kind of nuance. And if that sounds different, I've already mixed it kind of for him. And if it sounds different, it's not going to sound the same.
The
So
complexity of cloud infrastructure means every organization's security challenges are unique. Whether your challenge is threat hunting,
Okay, I already know that's good.
This episode.
So we got this here. I can actually just press S to get rid of that.
Sponsoring this episode.
Another S right here. Put in a big fade on it.
For sponsoring this episode.
So we got some issues with this, yeah. Okay. Looks like we lost half of our file there.
Defender. Check out Upticks by visiting Upticks.
Okay, I'm going to
Check out
just
Upticks
align
by
the
visiting
interview right back up to it.
upticks.com. That's UPTYCS.
Turn shuffle back on.
Thank you, Upticks, for sponsoring this episode.
That hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery.
Whew. Well, I mean,
Stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery. What is one of those stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception?
Okay, let's see how it sounds all together. Let's put a little bit of
What
swag on
is
that.
one of those stories that really
PTYCS.com. Thank you, Upticks, for sponsoring this episode.
What is one of those stories that really highlights that hero's journey from the beginning, the inception, all the way through the delivery?
whew. Well, I mean, whew. Whew.
That's
Well,
rough.
I mean, you're
Taking
right.
that
It is
out.
the hero's
That's
journey,
just-
and it's
Usually, like I said, I don't like to worry about breasts too much, but like, I had to deal with that one.
The delivery.
whew. Well, I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey, and it's pretty much the same.
Oh. Moose, you stink, bro.
Whew. Well, I mean, you're
Looks
right.
like
It
the
is the
sun's coming
hero's
out.
journey, and it's pretty much the same for absolutely everybody.
Delivery.
Whew. Well, I mean, you're right. It is the hero's journey, and it's pretty much the same for absolutely.
Take that
every-
first well, I
Whew.
mean.
You're right. It is the hero's journey, and it's pretty
Sounds
much
better.
the same for absolutely everybody. So, I mean, I can counterpoint what I experience as a poet with my creative writing, with what a friend of mine who is a has told me about his process with my creative writing, with what a friend of mine who is a surrealist artist told me about his process. And so I'll start with him. His name's Peter van Straten, and he lives in Cape Town in South Africa, and he does these hyper-realistic, deeply disturbing surrealistic canvases. It's a real juxtaposition of the whole sort of Dali-esque dream world feeling with very high detailed, realistic, almost photographic, fine brushwork. But what he does is he goes through this iteration of photographing, making studies, scraping most of it back, making studies, painting onto the canvas, and then scraping most of it back off.
Okay, so my goal is to be done with streaming at 5. So what I'm going to do right now is, now that we've got basically all parts
Hero's
of the
journey.
edits completed in terms of a content providing standpoint, I'll do the back half off stream. But what I do want to
Hero's
do
journey.
is mix and master. So what I'm going to do is control =, get over here. Let's try to make this as big as I can. Uh-oh. That's not going to do it. I can't see. So, unfortunately, that's the biggest I can get it. But I'll just go through everything. So,
Hero's journey of
I
creating
want
something
to
that is a
take-
masterpiece. Maybe
let me take this just so I can play the playhead while I'm working. Okay.
Hero's journey.
And typically,
Now I want to start at the beginning and basically mix this as
This is
From
the
the
Hacker
beginning.
Valley Studio podcast, exploring the human element behind cybersecurity programs and technology.
So-
Axonius
I don't want to go over probably. I want to peak out at probably like -2 dB.
This is the
cybersecurity asset management problem. Gartner has recognized cyber asset attack surface management, CASM, as a category in their Hype Cycle for Network Security 2021 report. Axonius gives its customers a comprehensive, always up-to-date asset inventory, helps uncover security gaps, and
Okay, so
automates
this
as
is
much
kind
the
of
manual
I usually have this mixed already, kind of because of my template. But what we want to do is, if we're
Merge
getting
a
into this from the first time,
a comprehensive
what we want to do is basically make sure that the music is not going to be stomping over the content provider. So here we
merge
go.
a comprehensive
What I could do is send this to a bus, sidechain this to that, and every time he talks, it compresses the music. We don't need to do that because
Merge
this is
a
such a high quality file.
high-value cyber initiatives they were trained to do. Welcome back to the
Okay, so remember, this is not as poppy. So what we want to do is take this and try to match it to that.
Report. Axonius gives its customers creativity. Are we limitless, or is there some sort of cap? We've been asking for the answer to this question for quite a while, and we were recently told to speak with David Chislett, Security 2021 report. Axonius gives its
Let's take
customers
this
a
guy,
comprehensive, always
down
up-to-date
his
asset inventory,
low end a
helps
little bit.
uncover security gaps, and automates customers a comprehensive, or is there some sort of cap?
Okay,
We've
let's
been
mute
asking
this.
for the security gaps and activity activator, and we did
That's
exactly
pretty dang good.
that this category in their Hype Cycle for Network Security
Woo!
20 for quite a
Pretty
while.
dang good,
and we
Rock
were
Dog.
recently told to speak with David
Again,
Chislett.
it's so much
David
easier when you have
is a
professionals on the
creativity
other end of the
activator.
mic. So much easier.
For quite a while.
'Kay.
And we were recently told to speak with David Chislett.
Ow.
David is a creativity activator, and we did exactly that this episode. Spoke all about creativity. We hope that through this conversation, you'll be able to take some nuggets and apply to your life. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode.
What's going on, everybody? You're in the Hacker
Okay,
Valley
Chris is
studio
coming
with
in
your hosts,
perfect.
Ron and Chris.
Yes, sir.
I want to compress him a
Welcome
little
back
bit.
to the show.
Glad to be back again. In the studio today with us, we have
Oops.
David Chislett. David is a creativity activator, and he helps
that off.
people and teams discover and understand how they can enhance their creative capacity. I'm excited to jump into this. I like to think of ourselves as creator, me and both Chris. But David, most importantly, welcome to the show.
hey, good evening, gents. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you, David.
But David, most importantly,
From this discussion.
think
Okay, we're
that
basically
we
just
all struggle.
matching gains here. We want to compress this, so
think
we got
that we all struggle in
just
one
a
way or
little bit of
another with
compression.
creativity. Whether you're a technician, an artist, a
Just at
musician,
4.
there's always something that changes over time. You're talking about almost having more creativity when you were a kid.
So,
Walk us through a bit of
couple
your
dBs of
origin story
compression.
with
Never gonna hurt.
But hang on a second. You
Now this
you're a
guy is where we
marketing
got
strategist
issues.
Or, well, you're a lawyer. You kind of solve problems for a living.
Okay,
course you're
so let's move
creative.
this one down here.
Like, yeah, but I can't paint, I can't draw.
First, I want
Hang on a
to
second.
take
You know,
this and
What's going on here is a confusion between a specific
Actually, I don't
physical
want
skill
actually-
set
Arcs
and the ability to
9.
come up with new answers or different
The
answers
reverb.
to the old questions.
How
And I
about
think
that?
that's
How about
what
that?
creativity is. And in conversations with me, they'd always go like, "Wow, you're so creative. I'm totally not creative." I'm looking at them going, "But hang on a second. You you're a marketing strategist or you're a lawyer. You kind of solve problems for a living. Of course, you're creative." I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't paint, I can't draw." I'm like, "Hang on a second. What's going on here is a
Okay.
confusion between a specific physical skill set and the ability to come up with new answers or different answers to the old questions." And I think that's really what inspired me. I suddenly realized that actually, it's not that
Yeah.
people aren't creative; it's that they don't understand what it is that they've got. And to a large extent, it's so everyday. We're just always solving problems that people completely underestimate what they're doing and just therefore don't really realize how many more areas they could be using it.
Can basically
That's
what it
really
is just swept.
is helping
A lot of
people
people say it's
tap
bad for
into
your
that,
ears, but when you sweep,
because it's
you
really
can identify the
extraordinarily
frequency that you
self-empowering
want to get rid
to be able
of.
to just come up with answers and new
So-
solutions whenever you want.
You mentioned having it in bag loads.
One
I think just put this guy right here in the middle. A little smaller.
artists and music industry clients, and I've been blogging and podcasting, making documentary films and videos. Well, basically just doing one creative thing or other my entire life. And what I realized
Put a
was that
shelf.
most people had a really weird idea about what creativity is. And in conversations with me, they'd always go like, "Wow, you're so creative. I'm totally not creative." I'm looking at them going,
Okay, so
Just-
we got
individuals
Thing that changes over time.
holding them back from embracing what they used to have in bag
taking
loads when they
another
were
EQ.
little.
I'm gonna stack this a little bit.
Holding them back from embracing what they used to have in bag loads when they were little kids, and get more creative and learn how to actually just get that magic sauce on tap.
So let's go ahead and break that down a bit.
Well, basically just doing one creative thing or other my entire life. And what I realized was that most people had a really weird idea about what creativity is. And in conversations with me, they'd always go like, "Wow, you're so creative. I'm totally not creative." I'm looking at them going, "But hang on a second.
Some life into it.
You're a marketing strategist or you're a lawyer. You kind of solve problems for a living. Of course, you're creative." I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't paint, I can't draw."
Okay.
I'm like, "Hang
That's
on
about
a
the
second."
best we're gonna get it right now. My ears are tired. It's
Using
been a long
keynote
day.
speak.
Struggle
and, you
in
know,
one way or
that's
another
like-
with
Let's see. I'm back and forth on D-Reverb before and after compressor. Yeah, it's like you saw me move it too, and with it's. I think it's a case by case because in some ways, and like people's voices, it's gonna be different every time, dude. And I'm sure you know that. But I battle with that too.
struggle in one way or another with creativity.
In
Most of the
conversations
time
with
in
me,
this part of the podcast is spent on the guest because they are always the one with
documentary films
things
and
to be
videos,
edited or mixed.
well, basically just doing one creative thing or other
Okay,
my
I wanna
entire life.
Bring his compressor.
And what I realized
oh, I
was
didn't even
that
put a compressor on.
most people had a really weird idea about
Compressor.
what creativity is. And in conversations with me, they'd always go like, "Wow, you're so creative. I'm totally not creative." I'm looking at them going, "But hang on a second. You're a marketing strategist or you're a lawyer. You kind of solve problems for a living. Of course, you're creative." I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't paint, I can't draw." I'm like, "Hang on a second. What's going on here is a confusion between a specific physical skill set and the ability to come
Put a
up with new
DS on
answers
that.
or different answers
I just
to
don't
the
like
old
it. Maybe I
questions.
got one in here.
And I think
they do.
that's really what inspired me. I suddenly realized that actually, it's not that people aren't creative; it's that they
I love
don't
how they got
understand
this
what
so
it is that they've
visual.
got.
Visually,
And-
the UI on these isotope applications are phenomenal. Next to none, really. I haven't found any other, because like all these plugins, it matters when like you're doing this all day and stuff's hard to, like, you got this much. Most of the time you can't take them and spread them out and make them bigger. Like I don't think I can with this one even. Like I can't snatch it and oh yeah, I can. Look at that. Look, and Isotope would be the one to have it adjust with your window, which is amazing. So that's priceless right there, because what I want to do is I want to put this right here off in the corner over here or something. And then, you know, with screens that's this big and have 1,500 buttons on there for, like, it's not practical. Okay, anyways, I was mixing.
Yes, but I'm totally not happy with the expression. And then just by keeping turning up and keeping pushing at it and trying it and picking away at the edges, suddenly I'll make a breakthrough into a distinct new flow and way of putting words together. I mean,
Something that exists inside them.
I have act
This creativity thing that
A or drink cool drink B.
Okay, there
People
is
are
a frequency sticking out to me on his voice, obviously still.
What I do always say to people,
I feel like it's like around 2K. I keep wanting to mess with around 2K. So let's look at 2K.
what I do always say to people is that the most amazing part of creativity is that it allows you to generate your own options, which means for the first time in your life, you will have actual choice. I don't believe that when corporations come to you and say, drink cool drink A or drink cool drink B, you know, brand name. That's not choice.
What we'll do is we'll do both of them.
That's somebody else telling you what to do
Subtractive.
within a predefined set of
EQing.
options. What creativity does is allow you to create and define your own set of options and then make real choices based upon your priorities. So it's
Now, I'm
hugely
going to go over
empowering.
here and
And because creativity is by definition positive,
just
you're
basically
putting things together
reference.
to
The day and
you will always see my project
incredible things that you have going on in your world, something that exists.
Okay.
basically
Now, doesn't sound like much, but let's take this, put it on a loop.
a couple of years ago called The Runaway Species. And during that book, he says that either one of three distinct kinds of activities,
Okay, now let's deactivate all this and see what we did.
either one of three distinct kinds of activities or a combination of two or even three of those activities. And those three activities he calls a bend, a blend, and a break.
Now you can hear the compressor. You can hear the DS working. Oh, come on. Okay, let's start from scratch with...
Is either one of three distinct kinds of
Okay.
activities,
Oops. Let's start that over.
is either one of three distinct kinds of activities or a combination of, you know, a bend being when you take something that's been designed
Okay.
for one person. You know, a bend being when you take something that's been designed for one
Hear the
person,
difference. It's compressed,
process or purpose,
even.
and you bend it to something else. A blend is when you take two different things and you combine them together to do something completely different from their original intentions. And a break is when you
Yeah, you get less pumping on the reverb tool because it's reducing the pump in the compressor itself. Yeah, that's a good point. So Andrew on Discord, he said he's battling with putting the D-reverb and D-reverb before the compressor or after the compressor. And he's saying before, well, if you put it before the compressor, it's going to take those reflections of the D-reverb, meaning like basically the reaction between what you want it to do and what it does. It'll take those reactions and pump it out louder because the compression is taking all of your highs and bringing them down and your lows and bringing them up. Not tonally, but we're talking on a wavelength. Whatever. A wavelength term.
process or purpose, and you bend it to something else. A blend is when you take two different things and you combine them together to do something of a data set or an information part.
I got a lot of editing left to do.
New
This is,
interpretation.
30 minutes of podcast doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up. We've been on stream for almost 2 hours, and it adds up. I wish I could hang out more and do more, but this is basically the gist of it. So it's an ebb and flow between editing and mixing. And when you're mixing, you go around and you find more things to edit, and while you're editing, you write down notes to mix while you're editing, and then your Pro Tools crashes, and then you save, and then Pro Tools crashes again, and then Pro Tools crashes again, and everything crashes. And life's great. So, with that, guys, thank you so much. Andrew, you are numero uno. I think pretty much whoever comes in right now is going to be considered founders on the Discord altogether. So, sweet. Thank you for your support, dude. You make it happen. As far as all of my other thousands of fans, please holla. Oh, that was